Welcome back, Truth Seeker. July 23rd, 2019. It's another day of news by the numbers. And we're going to be talking about the Senate passing the 9/11 first responders funding bill. You might recall the Jon Stewart related story from June 11th, 42 days ago. Going to be talking also about the death of the 9/11 first responder who appeared with Jon Stewart. Little refresher. Boris Johnson, who was all but certain to replace Theresa May, supposedly won the election today, more like the selection. The man with the same barber as Donald Trump, who hails from the same city, New York City. He's talking about this way back when, in June of 2016. Here we are again, deja vu. Also going to talk about Mark Esper, the new Secretary of Defense. Remember, Mad Dog Mattis resigned by the numbers last year at the end of 2018. And we also have another suspicious death in the news. So let's start here with the 9/11 first responders funding bill. The point of doing these news stories is to see the overwhelming parallels between all of them. If you watched yesterday's news by the numbers, a lot of these numbers should seem very familiar. So with regards to this 9/11 first responders funding bill, it comes 50 days from September 11th, 2019. Of course, of America equals 50. Notice also the 1 month and 19 days, not too far off from 11/9, the way the majority of the world writes the date September 11th. But here's the kicker. Jon Stewart, who's been the big star behind this story, and everyone who's talking about this story is talking about Jon Stewart. From Jon Stewart's 56th birthday to today, July 23rd, 23/7, like 237, is 237 days after his birthday. Not an accident. 237 are the prime factors of 42. 2 times 3 times 7 is 42. And from the June 11th hearing where Jon Stewart had his rant and got a whole bunch of attention before his new show, from that rant to today is 42 days. So 237 days from his birthday, the prime factors of 42, 42 days from the rant. John equals 42, war equals 42. Hold on, did I forget to write down the date numerology? I did. Today is a date with a life lesson number of 42. So today's date numerology is also 42. The way you get that is adding 7 plus 23, which is 30. And then you add the year digit for digit. 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9. That's plus 12 more. So 30 plus 12, 42. A date with a life lesson number of 42. The 9/11 first responders funding bill. Of course, Jon Stewart, big TV personality. So John 42, the way he spells it, War 42, his full name, Jonathan Stewart Lebowitz, Jewish man, 96. The mathematical relationship between 42 and 96 is the divisors of 42 summed to 96. The word Freemason equals 96 and 42. So does the word knowledge. Freemasonry, the keepers of occult esoteric knowledge long forgotten to the masses, including this, Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah, which Masonry is largely based in. So the ritual couldn't be any more clear. The whole thing's been all about Jon Stewart from the beginning. And before we get to Boris Johnson, I want to remind that right after that, the Yankees played the Boston Red Sox, the team from New England in England, and the Yankees beat them in both games, kind of like the Revolutionary War. The Yankees win over the team from New England. But you might recall the day of game 1 of that 2-game series, you got the death of the 9/11 first responder who sat there next to Jon Stewart, and he died at age 53. And that day, the Yankees picked up their 53rd win. And when this man was shown in the media around this time, he was often shown in a Yankees hat. So the Yankees picked up their 53rd win the same day he died. As we pointed out then, Boston Red Sox 53. The game was in London Stadium 53. 53 is the 16th prime number. The Red Sox, by losing both games in the series, fell to 1-6 versus the Yankees, a bit like 16. The name Louis Alvarez, the man who died, his name equaled 146 and 70, like United Kingdom. Game 1, the Yankees got up by a lead of 14-6, and not by accident. The entire thing was scripted. There were 50 runs scored in that series. Again, America equals 50, the nation with 50 states and 1 million territories. Just like how from today to September 11th is 50 days. 50 runs scored in 2 games. That doesn't happen in baseball unless it's incredibly fixed, which the London series was. And notice New York Yankees is also 70. When he was giving his testimony next to Jon Stewart, he had up this hat, NYPD Bomb Squad baseball cap. Notice that equals 54 like baseball. When the Yankees won the second game over the Red Sox, they got their 54th win. This man died on a Saturday at age 53, the same day the Yankees picked up number 53. He died on a date with a life lesson number of 47, Louis Alvarez, 47. Don't forget on 9/11, the Solomon Brothers building, like the Temple of Solomon, Solomon's Temple. Tisha B'Av, 2 temples, 2 towers. Tisha B'Av equals 9/11. Anyway, Building 7, the Solomon's Brother, was 47 floors tall, each floor 47,000 square feet. And this guy's name, Louis, also sums to 47 and 29. He died on the 29th, making a date with a life lesson number of 47. He also died 74 days from September 11th, and the World Trade Centers were on the 74th meridian. They called that site Ground Zero. Prior to 9/11, the only definition of Ground Zero was a point above or below ground where a nuclear or atomic bomb explodes. Nuclear weapon, energy, they're all 74. Remember the dancing Israelis who supposedly went to jail for 71 days? Mossad equals 71, Jewish 74. So just a little reminder there. And with that said, let's talk about the big UK news. Boris Johnson, the Trump lookalike, who is from New York City. It's what you call a monumental mocking. 2 puppet stooges across from the Atlantic with the same haircut. Notice their names in Jewish Gematria. Boris Johnson, 1109. Donald, 119. Of course, there's the Donald Trump Serta mattress commercial from 2009 where he's talking to a sheep with the number 9 on it saying, "Looking good, number 9." And the 2 sheep that are in the room that he's talking to are standing on pillars. One's sheep number 11, the other sheep number 9. Donald Trump announced as the 45th president-elect on November 9th, 119. This stuff's not an accident, you know. Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, their birthdays are 4 days apart. Trump's born June 14th. 5 days apart. Trump's born June 14th. Which happens to be the 146th day of the year, United Kingdom 146. But he's born June 14th and 46. Boris Johnson, born June 19th and 64, the reflection of 46. And I just misspoke. June 14th isn't the 146th day of the year, but it's 14/6 like 146. Again, United Kingdom 146. Don't forget the apartment fire in the UK on June 14th the other year. Apartment fire 146. That was a sick ritual. YouTube deleted my first channel for exposing what they really did with that fire ritual over there. June 14th. I think that was 2017, if I remember right. But here's what it's all about right here. Let's go through it. So Boris Johnson. Look at that hair. So much like the chumps. From his birthday, June 19th, to the day that he will become the 77th prime minister is 36 days. Notice Boris is 36. So Boris will sit on the throne on his 36th day. July 24th is the 205th day of the year when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. United Kingdom's 205. Good day for a change at prime minister by the numbers. His full name, Alexander Boris the Fifel Johnson, or however you say it. 503, that's the 96th prime number. So we just talked about John Stewart with the 96, Freemason 96. His name with the alphabetic order sums to 307. That's the 63rd prime. Boris is also 63. With regards to the 96 and 307 connection, Freemason is 96 and 307. Freemason's also 42. Today's 237. The prime factors of 42, 2 times 3 times 7. The divisors of 42 sum to 96. Whoops. Let me pull up the ciphers and show you a couple more things I wanted you to take a peek at. Boris Johnson, you see the 67? Remember, Theresa May resigned on June 7th. Date that can be written 6-7. Notice Boris Johnson's 158. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Freemasonry is 158. Let me type in Boris Johnson again. Notice the 59. Freemasonry with the alphabetic order in reverse and the rules of numerology is 59. 59 is the 17th prime. Modern Freemasonry began in the UK in the year 1717 on the date June 24th. Let me put in Boris Johnson again. The name Boris Johnson has 2 S's in it. S here and S here. And there's something special about S. It's the 19th letter. It's the only letter you have to reduce 2 times in numerology to get to a single digit. 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. And in this study, S can actually be worth 1 or 10. Look at Boris Johnson if you use the rule for S where it's 10. Boris Johnson's 77, just like how he's become the 77th prime minister, and he's being compared to Donald Trump in the United States. United States, United Kingdom. Notice United States is 77. Notice secret society is 77. You know, think about the London 7/7 bombings. Powers 77. Don't ever forget that Flight 77 on September 11th supposedly hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon 77 minutes after taking off, took off at 8:20, crashed at 9:37. And the Pentagon's on the 77th meridian. And when you write out September 11th, it equals 77. When you write out World Trade Center, it equals 77. Stuff is not an accident. This is how the world elite operate. And with regards to September 11th, what were we just saying about these 2 stooges? You know, both of their names have these numbers. You know, there's been the word chaos used so many times in regards to Trump. You know it's going to be used in regards to Boris Johnson too. Freemasonry's motto is order out of chaos. And all of this stuff is very clearly Masonic ritual. From the date that Theresa May resigned to the date that the new prime minister will take over, which is tomorrow, July 24th, span of 47 days, 47 degrees on the Masonic compass. Again, Boris Johnson, 158, Freemasonry 158. Freemasonry is also 67 like Boris Johnson when you use that rule with S. By the way, 67 is the 19th prime number. Here we are in 2019. This word Tory, for the record, equals 24. He's going to take over on the 24th of July. Perfect. So the date for Brexit is set to be Halloween, October 31st. And here's what stands out about that. From the day he will assume office, July 24th, to October 31st is 99 days. 99 days. When you write out 13 as a word, it equals 99. Remember, the Bavarian Illuminati was established on a date with 99 numerology and with 13 families. Halloween happens to equal 41, which is the 13th prime number. Notice UK is 13. USA is also 41. Shared numbers between these 2 nations, which aren't really separate. They're one and the same. The US is the UK West. Notice also Johnson and Halloween are both 95. The day he's won this election July 23rd, 2019, date was 69 numerology. The whole goal is to separate from the European Union. So Brexit stands for European Union 69. And by the way, something we've been talking about all this time is Brexit 33, Masonry 33. You might see a lot of overlap here with Brexit and Masonry. They overlap in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. You know, secrecy 33, order 33. If you flip the alphabetic order around, England's 33. It's not an accident they chose that name, Brexit. And that resulted in the resignation of David Cameron by the numbers, Cameron 33. Remember, he resigned 109 days before his October 9th birthday, 10/9. Parliament is 109. I think they said he used like 330 boxes to pack up his office. That was some headline that was out there around the time he was leaving because of Brexit. And with regards to him becoming the 77th Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, whose name equals 77, if you write out 77 as a word, it equals 49. Today's date also has 49 numerology. And again, these parallels with Trump and Boris. America is 49. Washington is 49. The way Donald J. Trump writes his name as an author name, Donald J. Trump 49. Again, Washington, D.C. on the 77th meridian. Also, with regards to 77, from the Brexit vote, June 23rd, 2016, to the deadline, October 31st, 2019, that's 175 weeks. And with regards to Boris Johnson saying they're going to get it done that day, he's the 77th Prime Minister. 77 equals 175. I was just telling you about September 11th and 77. You might recall Flight 175 was supposedly one of the planes to hit the World Trade Centers on that day. So it's all perfectly lined up. They're trying to bring about, you know, all this great change. Order out of chaos. So here's what we wrote about June 24, 2016. That day they were emphasizing that Boris Johnson says UK not turning its back on Europe. And they emphasized turning its back. With the alphabetic order, what I pointed out that day, New York City Prime Minister turning its back, they all summed to 168. The man from New York City. The hype was then for him to become the Prime Minister. We decoded back then his name, how it had the 77 in it. When I did this pulse back then, I didn't know reverse Gematria. So some things I didn't pick up on. The Dow had a rough day that day. Another thing controlled by the code. Also in the news, new Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, Mark Thomas Esper. And look at his name, Mark Esper, 137 and 56, just like Washington, D.C. Lo and behold, we were just talking about how Washington passed a $1.37 trillion budget. And of course, they didn't report that specific number by accident. Washington, D.C., 137, government 137, mind control 137, government is mind control. So what do you know? The next day you get another shining example of how often that number is used around Washington, D.C. If you guys doubt that this is all Freemasonry, you're dead wrong. In D.C., there's a statue of the Freemason Albert Pike, the only Confederate war general who still has a statue there, holding his book Morals and Dogma, which equals 137 and 56 like Washington, D.C. And in that text, it says Freemasonry owes all things to Kabbalah. And in Hebrew, Kabbalah sums to 137. And you can verify that very easily on this same website I'm using. Just type in Kabbalah, do English to Hebrew on Google. One of the nice things that this horrible company offers. Plug in the Hebrew value, go to the foreign ciphers, hit Hebrew Gematria, and voila, 137. which is, of course, the 33rd prime number, coming back to Masonry, secrecy, order, federal. When the head of the CIA took office, what's her name? Gina Cherry Haspel. She did it 137 days from her birthday. This number is just always around the rituals. But again, today has the 49 date numerology, Washington, America, Scottish, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which has its big HQ there in DC. They all sum to 49. This man, he was born April 26th, 1964. Date with 113 numerology, Scottish 113. Again, today's got the 42 date numerology, Freemason War, DC. They're all 42. Washington, D.C., named after the Freemason War General George Washington, member of the Scottish Rite. And from this man's birthday, Esper, to today, 99 days later, the United States of America, 99. The nation that was named on September 9th, 99. Notice his full name, Mark Thomas Esper, 88 like Trump, also 223 like Masonic. Day after day, the same numbers encoded into all of these born and bred to be, government employees. And to switch gears for a moment, another death in the headlines. A 33-year-old mysteriously died from a sudden illness. Have you heard this one before? 33-year-old dead suddenly, unexpectedly. How many stories like this have we covered, over the years? This guy happened to have a September 11th birthday, and he played StarCraft, the video game. From his last birthday to his death, which was July 20th, means he died on his 313th day of his age, which is the 65th prime. StarCraft equals 65, what he was known for playing. And they're saying he became very ill and died. They're saying the last time that he went online and played games like he normally does was July 18th. So I'd imagine that he probably got sick that day. And July 18th is an interesting date because it can be written 18/7 like 187. Remember, it was also the date with 44 and 64 numerology, which I predicted in a month in advance we'd see suspicious deaths on, which of course we did. Kill equals 44 and 64. Notice he also died 44 weeks and days after his birthday. That day was also the 199th day of the year, which is the 46th prime, sacrifice 46. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But if that is the day that he truly got ill and suddenly died 2 days later, that's typically what happens with arsenic. You're poisoned with arsenic, you become very ill, it looks like you have the severe flu, and then you die in about 48 to 72 hours. Notice arsenic poisoning is 187, like the homicide code, like 18/7. He was 33 years old. Arsenic's 33. It's the 33rd element on the periodic table. And here it is right here. Died July 20th, 2 days later. Born September 11th. The day he died was a date with numerology of 46. Look at sacrifice in the base cipher, 73. His name was Geoff Robinson, 73. Notice Geoff Robinson, 62. Sacrifice is 62 in the same cipher. Dead on a date with 46 numerology, sacrifice 46. And his name also sums to 206. In Jewish Gematria, sacrifice is 206. So you just got to say, what in the world is really going on? Arsenic's been used to kill people for centuries because it's hard to trace how they really die, because it disappears from your system almost as fast as it kills you. So anyway, day after day, easy to prove who's responsible for these rituals that we see in the world. And let me see if I can pull something up here real quick. So again, just to address this guy who continues to talk about me and say that my work's all fraudulent and it's all a bunch of BS. Notice this guy, this guy's thing right here. Marty leads math a magical. And notice how he has the 33 in his name. So if you listen to this guy, you'll become dumber by the minute. First of all, his work is literally horrible. But he sits here all day and just says that my work's all baseless. It's just all random, which it's absolutely not. My work's backed up further and further every single day, exposing the same patterns. But I just want you to look at this guy's name and his, his thing. And he's telling people in his podcast, Freemasonry's not behind any of this. What I'm teaching is all false. Is it really hard to see what's going on here? Let's just go over the name Marty Leeds real quick. Marty Leeds, 58. Do you see that? Look at the name Marty alone. 58. And what's 58? Freemasonry. And he also says that's not even his real name. So why do you make it then? This isn't his real name. Where did it come from? Remember, Freemasonry based out of the Rosicrucian order. Rosicrucian 58. King James was a Rosicrucian and a Freemason, dead at age 58, unexpectedly. Secret Society 58. Tracing board. That's what Freemasonry you have to do. You have to do your tracing boards. Solomon's Temple, what most of their secrets are based in. What are the odds of this? And the list goes on. Marty Leeds wants you to think it's all a coincidence. What a joke this guy is. So anyway, it is Freemasonry. It's a bunch of Freemason goons. Don't forget, Donald Trump announced he was running for president from the 58-story Trump Tower. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Hillary put out a book titled What Happened, about why she lost the 58th U.S. presidential election, which Trump won. Consider Freemasonry's a men's club. And again, just with regards to that 58 note, to hit it one more time, this whole Trump ASAP Rocky story is all about the same thing. It's just another ritual in numbers to try to boost Trump's credit. And as I pointed out, this ASAP Rocky, his birthday is October 3rd. From his birthday to the day of his fight, which now Trump's trying to get him out of trouble for, 271 days later, which is the 58th prime. So... And this ASAP Rocky, his real name is Rakeem Mayers, which is 133, like president, like White House, like government, like how in 2015 I pointed out that Fox News at the first GOP debate said that Trump was the 133rd richest in the nation. I said, uh-oh. And they also had to put the 33 up there. I said, uh-oh. Could the chump, the apprentice, be the next puppet president? And sure enough. So... don't be a moron like Marty. Don't be a Freemason shill schmuck. Don't be a coincidence theorist. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Until next time.